Hello there. Tonight we are going to have a Viewmaster adventure with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You can see here my He-Man collection. It's all of the figures you see are the newer Origins figures that they definitely scratch that itch for the nostalgia factor. They look very much like the figures we had when we were younger in the early to mid 80s. Much more articulated. You can actually pose them much better. The colors are quite a bit more vibrant. The vintage figures are relatively dull compared to these, and also some new face sculpts and little changes like that. But overall, particularly if you see them in the store, I encourage you to grab one or two. At the very least, they'll definitely take you back. If you don't know any better, especially, if you're not a hardcore Masters of the Universe collector, they'll do the trick for you. Down the road, I would like to get more of the vintage line. At the very least, a He-Man and Battle Cat, and Skeletor and Panther. Possibly a Minton card Tila, because I remember very clearly one Easter at my grandmother's house. They had hidden a toy in the shower for me. It was sitting in the windowsill of the shower, and it was a Tila, brand new in the package. And that's how I best remember Tila, is on that card when I got her for Easter morning. So we are going to use our Viewmaster here. This is a slightly older model than what I had in the 80s. You may have had this one if you were born in the late 70s or inherited it. I think a lot of us in the 80s probably had the all red, slightly rounded version that had an orange tab here. But this one just happened to come with the set that I picked up with the Muppets. And we will definitely enjoy that later. Even though the Muppet movie is from 1979, we're going to have some Muppet adventures as well. But for tonight, we are going to take a look at He-Man's adventures. I always just loved the way that the color came through these when you held them up to the light. And then we line up our A1 slot. You can see it says A1 here. We line that up so that it appears in here, and we can read. It says He-Man, Eternia's mightiest warrior. And I've been playing around with this, and it is very difficult to get this to focus and to hold it just right so that you can actually see him. There we go. That image, that just, something about the drawing, the way that he's drawn in this, it's more of a comic book art than it is from the movie. This is like the art from the from the little comics that came with him to tell the story. And it's, it accompanied all of the different books. And I'm not going to keep holding it like that. And it accompanied the books and other material that came out around the time. So that imagery I really associate with He-Man, as well as what you see on the poster up there in the middle. That's of course it's not even a reprint, because I don't think they made that as an original poster. It's just a blown up image from one of the little dealies that came with the toys back in the day. It's not bad. You can get it on eBay, I think, or Amazon. It does the trick. I like that imagery because it's like the box art for all of the different toys and play sets. I would love to have a boxed Castle Grayskull. Not necessarily sealed in the box, of course. I want to take it out and play around with it. But I love the artwork, that sort of Frank Frazetta style artwork that was popular in the late 70s, early 80s with a lot of fantasy. So I am gonna give us back to the adventure here. Let's see if I can manage to show you this without having to. It's very weird. You would think that it would be easier to balance this, but it's almost like a reverse effect. I think it's a trick of the multi-cameras on the iPhone, trying to focus and work in conjunction with one another, making it very difficult to focus and move this around. There we go. That is He-Man. Next, let's see if we can get that to focus. There he is. Villainous spy. Skeletor sees He-Man return from battle. And again, we can read that right there. Warrior goddess. Skeletor conjures Tila. I don't know if that means he's conjuring an image of her or if he's conjured her there somehow as if transporting her. Okay. We'll have to see. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera here. Legend of Castle Grayskull. It says the owner of the power sword will rule. Oh, we have Stratos there. Skeletor finds half of the power sword in a volcano there. This is cool because this is some old school explanation of the lore. It's awesome. Yeah, He-Man's not even wearing his chest plate. Skeletor, Beastman, Merman attack. Can we see more? Oh yeah, I see Merman back there. It's awesome. There he goes. It says, without his power harness, He-Man fails or falls. Oh, that was his power harness. Nobody told me. Okay. So that's the first adventure. We have all 3 discs. So the adventure doesn't end there. We're going to move on to the next one. You can see all the light. Even just that visual, regardless of what the imagery is, just reminds me of being a kid and how bright these were. You know, it's a shame I can't do justice to the feeling of looking through both of the sets. You know, the full, you know, binocular Viewmaster and sort of feeling like you're inside the you know, the story and next to the characters, because it is 3-dimensional. You know, it has a slight shift between the images on either side, and it's just sort of visceral. Yeah, just memories of laying on my back and you know, staring up through it at a light on the ceiling to make them really bright. So here we go. See if we can get in there. Skeletor enters the castle. Tila has been awaiting the king. Skeletor tries the magic of the throne. If you have Castle Grayskull or had it as a child, you'll recognize that he's using one of the play features of the actual playset with the throne here, which would turn and activate the trapdoor here. Beware of Battle Cat. Interesting here. He still looks like, he's not wearing his helmet, which is interesting. It says He-Man has regained his power. I love Merman as a kid. It's just very, very old school, that image. He-Man will not survive. He-Man rushes to Castle Grayskull. Surprise entry. Skeletor springs the door open. Energy attack. He-Man is knocked out by remote control. Oh dear. That's the end of that reel. Okay, friends, I don't want to leave you in too much suspense. Hope that our buddy He-Man is going to be okay here. You can see there on the wall, I have a handful of original animation cells from He-Man, and they were relatively cheap. Within the last few years, I feel like they've become more and more available, or more are being posted on, say, eBay more frequently. So, if you want them, they're there. The prices do seem to have gone up, a little bit over the last few years, where, a few years ago, a lot of these were, $40 to $60 each. Particularly, cheaper for the few that are, you can see that they have a little bit of warping. Tila, Man-at-Arms, and Skeletor are a little bit messed up, but they display well for me. But no, they're out there, and what I love about them is that it's a cartoon, but these are screen-used props. If you have watched and enjoyed He-Man, you've literally looked at each of these cells. It's part of the cartoon. And that's just something that, they're not particularly rare, because it takes so many of them to create even just an episode or a few minutes of footage. But just the fact that they are what they are, and that they are like a literal piece of that history, I think that's awesome. I do enjoy collecting animation cells. I don't have a lot, but between He-Man and the 1978 Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, I have, maybe a dozen or so. One of my ideas for this room, my toy room, is to collect, at the very least, a single cell, maybe highlighting the main characters of a variety of different 80s and 90s cartoons that I enjoyed. Some are easier to get than others. Muppet Babies is pretty accessible, if not particularly cheap. Other ones that you can kind of, the Beetlejuice cartoon. I do have one of Beetlejuice and Lydia, and plan to get that framed. Transformers and G.I. Joe, forget it. You're looking at, for a decent cell with a recognizable character, not just their arm, you're probably over $1,000 for a good one. I keep an eye out, but I'm not holding my breath. But I would love to get a handful of those Saturday morning cartoon ones, or even, and these are kind of rare, different commercial cartoons, particularly cereal characters like Snap, Crackle, and Pop, or Lucky from Lucky Charms, or Tony the Tiger. So I keep an eye out for those as well. I'm not actively looking for more animation cells, but that is something I'd like to add. So without any further ado, we're going to bring our He-Man adventure to a close here and check out Reel 3. A lot of blue on that one. All right. There's words there, but I can't quite read that. It says He-Man comes to and breaks the cell door. And I cannot quite make out what it says there by Tila. Look, he must escape, or we must escape, probably. Okay. Skeletor loses power sword. Guess we're paying by the letter here. We can't afford to say the. Okay, can we get a good look at that? There we go. Cowardly escape. Skeletor has lost the magic power of the sword. He-Man's coming after him. Oh, cool. It's the laser cannon. You can see we have Stratos up here. I'm sorry, not Stratos, Zodak, hanging out with the laser cannon there. Good positioning of the different accessories. It says down, Tila. Will be burned by the rays. I think this is probably from 1982. I think we should, I joke. I joke that it sounds like old school sci-fi. Will be burned by the rays. And then for a moment I thought, well, he might as well say robot instead of robot. And then I remembered there actually is an instance or two in the first few episodes of He-Man where he calls them robots. Wow. I thought we had gotten over that by that point. It's like watching old Twilight Zone. We've got is it Jack Warren calling Alicia a robot. Okay. Eon. Okay. Teach their own, that's what we say, I guess. The enemies fall from the parapet. I wouldn't worry about He-Man. What's that say? Flight from fear? Oh, I see Battle Cat's getting in there. He-Man sends Battle Cat after Skeletor. Now he has his helmet. Oh, that's a good image. Future rulers. One day He-Man will be king of Castle Grayskull. That's a good image. I like that one. Makes it sound like they're an item together. But that is the Viewmaster. We will, hopefully you like it. Let me know if you like that. I do have other Viewmaster slides. We've got some Muppets from the Muppet movie, also just Muppets in general. We also have Mask, the toy line, as well as some vintage Disneyland ones. I love Disneyland, so we may have those as well from the late 50s, early 60s, I think. Talking about He-Man reminded me, if you have not watched The Toys That Made Us on Netflix, I highly recommend it. It's just, it's an amazing walk down memory lane for lots of different toy lines. almost entirely from the 80s. But also He-Man in particular. They really talk about, you know, they, you get to that point where you realize that the toy lines that you grew up with were all marketing, and they were designed to sell toys. And He-Man in particular, where they talk about wanting to sell the toy line, and sort of conjuring the idea of the comic book telling the story, the little comic book inserts, as well as having a TV cartoon, sort of on the spot. They came up with that idea in order to help sell the pitch. But yeah, absolutely check that out. So I hope this was fun for you, and have a good night. Thank you.